Hey there, this is the Shadow Ranger. Um, this is a response to a comment left on my video, sort of a challenge put out to me by the Sonic Youth. I talked about in my last video about how there are a lot of free agents available in wrestling, just talking about guys we know from WWE and TNA and maybe some guys from the 90s. Now there's enough you could probably start a whole nother promotion and probably be able to do some pretty good stuff with it. If you got the money to get things off the ground. So he asked me to put together a roster using these guys and put together a card of matches that I would use to present to a network if I'm trying to get a TV deal. We assume that I got the money to run the promotion and I'm trying to get a national TV deal. So he said put together a card of 6 to 8 matches that I could using some of these names that I could present to a television network that I'm trying to get them to put us on the air. So I decided to make a card of 7 matches, and first I want to go over the roster of guys. Keep in mind that I'm not even taking indie guys into consideration. Like I mentioned in my last video, just the number of guys we know of that were former WWE and TNA talents. I'm not even taking indie wrestlers into consideration when I put this list on. I was talking about how just so many wrestlers in the country, and just not enough big companies for them to work in. We need a third and probably even a fourth big company. So the first thing I was asked to do is have some belts. So I don't have a name for a promotion, and I mean I would love to do something with the NWA, but I just made up some belts. So of course I'll have a World Heavyweight title, then 2 secondary titles, Television Championship, and another mid-card title that I would call the American Heavyweight Championship. This is a really, really old belt. To the best of my knowledge, it's been defunct for a while. I think I remember reading something saying that it may have been brought back in 2010 by an indie promotion, but it was like a really old belt that dates all the way back to like the early 1900s. When I researched to see if there was a name, but if no one's using it, I'd make that belt and call it that. Those would be my secondary titles. Then I'd have tag team titles and a women's title. Okay, so the list I'm using to put together my list of this roster, I'm using a list from Gerwick.net. I will put the link in the description box. There's a good list of just some well-known free agent talents, and there's guys that are free agents that may not even be on that list that I'm not even thinking of. So here we go. First, a women's division. Here are the women I came up with: Alyssa Flash, Aloysia, aka Isis the Amazon, who was supposed to be on NXT, but she was on the preview, so I think she counts. Awesome Kong, Hamada, Cherry, who was the valet of Deuce and Domino, Jackie Moore, Jazz, Jillian Hall, Nikki Rocks, aka Rocky Laveau, ODB, Rain. She was Peyton Banks in TNA for a little while back in 2008. Raka Khan, Shelly Martinez, Serena Deeb, Sojo Bolt, Taryn Terrell, who was Tiffany in WWE, and Tracy Brooks. For my tag teams, I got Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, the world's greatest tag team. Probably would have to change that name. Deuce and Domino, Roy and Robbie, the Highlanders, Andy Douglas and Chase Stevens, the Naturals. Had some really good matches in TNA back in the day, especially with America's Most Wanted. The Basham brothers, they may also go by Basham and Damager now. See, Too Cool, Grandmaster Sexay, Scotty Too Hottie. I was thinking of putting Rosie, Hurricane Superhero in Training, him together with Manu. It's like a new, Wild Samoan type tag team, Big Tough Samoan tag team. People never seem to get tired of those. Lance Rock and Jimmy Ray, Rock and Rave Infection. And there's also Romeo and Antonio, the Heartthrobs. I believe they're both still wrestling. If I'm wrong, let me know. So those are some tag teams I put together. There's 9 tag teams, and my number of women was, that was 17 women. He only asked me to put together a roster of 20 people. This is going to be a really big roster. Okay, now for singles wrestlers. I came up with so many singles wrestlers. There's probably no way I'd be able to hire them all. So I'd have to take some names off this list as I go. So let's see here. Also, Batista and Chris Jericho were on the list, but I'm taking them off. I'm not going to count them as part of my roster because I really can't see them going anywhere except WWE. So let's run down some singles wrestlers. We got Bam Neely, big dude, decent guy. Booker T, veteran, little star power. We got Kalen Croft, Chris Harris, Cody Deaner, love the Deaner. Colin Delaney, Christopher Daniels. Wait, he may be under contract to Ring of Honor. If he is, take him out. See, we got DJ Gabriel, Elix Skipper, Eric Escobar, Gregory Helms, Hardcore Holly, Homicide, Jethro Holiday, aka Trevor Murdoch, Jimmy Yang, Johnny Devine, Kenny Dykstra. Actually, you know what? All the rest of the other 4 dudes from the Spirit Squad. I think Nikki from Spirit Squad is Dolph Ziggler now. The other 4 Spirit Squad guys, you know who they are. Kevin Fertig, aka Kevin Thorne, vampire dude. The Gallows, Mike Knox, MVP, Matt Hardy, Nick Dinsmore, who is Eugene. I probably wouldn't have him be Eugene anymore. I'd have to do something to get the Eugene stink off of him. Paul Burchill, Paul Linden, Petey Williams, Ricky Ortiz, Snitsky, Sanjay Dutt, Kizarny, Carlito, Bobby Lashley. So, I mean, that's not even all the names on the list. Go to the website. I'll put links in the description box, and look at that list of guys. Now, again, keep in mind, this is just guys we know from WWE and TNA. I'm not even accounting for like the tons of indie guys. I don't even know jack about ROH, so I didn't even think about them. So ex-ROH guys, indie talents, dudes just doing it in NWA. This is just ex-WWE and TNA people right here. So, see my singles wrestlers. That's 38 guys. Wow, that's probably even too big of a roster. I had to cut that down some. But right there, that's 38 guys right there. Well, we're gonna hope I get multiple shows. I can work with 38 dudes. And plus, someone would just be like, some of these people would just be enhancement talent and jobbers and stuff you bring. Not everybody gets pushed. I probably wouldn't be doing much with Colin Delaney and the Spirit Squad dudes. Some of them would probably just be excuse me. Some of them would probably just be my jobbers and stuff. But man. Okay, so there's the rest of the roster. So now the sample card. I'm presenting this card to a TV network as to try to say, here's why you should pick up our wrestling company and put us on TV. Again, we're assuming that I already have like the money for like to run the company. I already have the money to run the company. I'm just trying to get the TV deal. Right? I try to get something like on a nice Wednesday night. I don't want to compete with WWE or TNA. I'm not gonna try to I'm not trying to start no wrestling war with anybody. I'm picking Wednesday and Saturday because I don't know of any other wrestling that's on Wednesday and Saturday, so that's where I put my show on. So here's my 7 matches. Give a little explanation of each when I need to. First, I do Alyssa Flash versus Hamada. This is my women's match for the good women's wrestling. 2 great women's wrestlers that can get the job done. That's to show that our women's division isn't just gonna be, bunch of models and women who can't really wrestle and put on boring matches. To show we don't want our women's division to be a bathroom break. I'm gonna have women who can actually go get it done in the ring. So that would be my first match: Alyssa Flash versus Hamada. Also, these matches are in no particular order, except for I'll tell you what my main event is when I get there. The second women's match I would do would be Shelly Martinez versus Tracy Brooks. That's for your eye candy. In case, because I think that when you do women's wrestling on a national scale, you do need a little bit of both. You do need women who are great wrestlers who can get it done in the ring, but you also do need a little eye candy every so often. So, two hot chicks with big boobs, Shelly Martinez, Tracy Brooks. I mean, that's between the two of them, that's all the breasts you could ever want. Next, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin versus Andy Douglas and Chase Stevens, the Naturals. A well-known tag team, not as well-known tag team, but two dudes who can give you a very athletic match. I think those two teams together, anybody would enjoy. Next match, Petey Williams versus Christopher Daniels. It's an X Division match. All the cool stuff you know from X, like you know from the X Division. I wouldn't have an X Division title because I think that something I've noticed with TNA is that having an X Division title, they are forced to do those kinds of matches on all the time, or everybody complains. So I don't want to get pigeonholed into I have to always do X Division style matches, but I want to have some wrestlers who can do that kind of stuff because a lot of people are into that. I like it. A lot of other people do too. So Petey Williams versus Christopher Daniels. Next, Too Cool versus The Rock and Rave Infection. This tag team match is your fun match. It's going to be kind of a comedy match. You got these two kind of comedy, funny, happy-go-lucky teams. That's to show that we can do some fun stuff on our wrestling show too. It's not going to be all super duper serious and we're going to have some fun. Nick Dinsmore versus Paul Burchill. I'm not going to turn Nick Dinsmore into Eugene. I would try my best as I can for him to not be Eugene. This is just two dudes. I'm going for technical skill here. I mean, if anybody who's seen Nick Dinsmore knows that he in the ring is really good. And I think Paul Burchill is good too. So this was just more of a technical style match. I think maybe there's other people you might pick instead of him, but I like Burchill. Alright, and my main event would be Booker T versus MVP. This match is to show that I do have some level of star power behind to support my company. Again, I'm just talking about getting something off the ground. You get a good. I get myself a good booker. Somebody who can book well, they will build other guys up in the stars. Also, you bring in indie guys as you go along. Maybe somebody from WWE or TNA leads you can do stuff with. This is just what I'm doing to get us started. So, that's my 7-match card. One more time, Alyssa Flash versus Hamada. That's your technical women's match, your great women's wrestling. Shelly Martinez versus Tracy Brooks. That's your boobies and eye candy. Haas and Benjamin versus Naturals. To get a great tag team match. Petey Williams versus Christopher Daniels. That's your X Division style stuff. Too Cool versus Rock and Rave. Also, just for fun, to show that we can do fun kind of comedy if we need to. Nick Dinsmore versus Paul Burchill, just to show good technical wrestling. Booker T versus MVP to show we have a little bit of star power as our main event. So that is my 7-match card. Let me know what you think. Almost out of time. Let me know what you think in the description box. If you would like to try this too, the link to Gerwig.net is in the description. Look at the list, put together your own roster and your match of 7 cards that you would present to a television network to try to get a TV deal. We are assuming that you already have all the money you need to run the promotion. Thank you for listening. This is the Shadow Ranger. Have a nice day.